This is the Forgiven Soldier radio show.
Strangers become your brothers. They got your six when it's back against that wall. And you will never have another who cared for you when times got rough. That's a brother. For you when times got tough, that's a brother.
And now, your host, Brian Basham.
Hi, welcome in. This is Forgiven Soldier radio show. This is Brian, and I have a awesome guest that I've known about, I've read about, I've met him, but we officially met today, Mr. Robbie Holder. How you doing, man?
Hey, Brian. How's it going, brother?
Good, man. Welcome in. Thank you for being on the show.
Yes, sir.
I know Derek tagged you in it, so I'm guessing you know Derek Hancock somehow. Or he's a big fan of you, and he's just
Cool.
he just had you on his Facebook.
It's great.
But I'm glad you're here anyway. So, are you originally from Owensboro?
Yes, I am.
Are you? So, what school did you go to?
I went to Owensboro High School.
Okay.
I played football there and coached. I ended up coaching there. That was, of course, after I graduated, I went in the Navy. And took me all over the world. I was stationed on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower and on F-14 Squadron, BF-142.
Okay.
And got a chance to see the world.
Yeah. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So how many years did you stay in the Navy?
4 years.
4 years. It's got to be different, leaving Owensboro and then just going to a ship, right?
Oh, man, it's culture shock. Got to go back on it about 3 or 4 months ago. We had a squadron reunion and went to Norfolk. The reunion was in Virginia Beach, where we were stationed there. When the ship deployed, we went on board.
Okay.
And deployed with it. But when it's in port, you go back to your home. Squadrons go back to their homes.
Okay.
Some are in California, some are in Gulfport, some are in Norfolk, some are in Virginia Beach. But yeah, man, that was quite an experience.
Yeah.
I'm a land lover.
When I joined, obviously I'm from this area, and I'd never been on a plane that I remember. I think I was on it when I was a kid, but I don't remember it. But first time flying on a plane, went to Oklahoma, which if you probably been to Oklahoma, and it's not that much different than Kentucky, so it wasn't a big culture shock for me. And but then, went through basic AIT and all that stuff. Then I got stationed out there, so I spent about 4 years in Oklahoma, so there wasn't the changes. When I went to California, it was a culture shock. I'm like, oh, my goodness.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was crazy. But so when you left, did you come back?
I had a job I got offered a job before I got out to work for John Hancock.
Okay.
And I did. It was just... I was making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And just wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bumper to bumper, 65 miles an hour, working 16 hours, 6 days a week. It just had no life.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled up roots in Virginia and came back home, and struggled with jobs here and there. I played music the whole time, but I finally got on it. I got a job at Swedish Match.
Okay.
And that's a good paying job with benefits, and had a chance when I was 28 to move to Nashville. Had Happy and Gene Anderson. They managed Chris Ledoux. And
love Chris Ledoux.
Yeah, me too. They managed him. They got my wife a job. They almost had me talked into moving to Nashville. But I thought, I got to thinking, man, I don't know. It's so uncertain. Mm-hmm. And everybody down there. I mean, I played in Nashville for years. Played last year with no, this is 2021 now, with my son, who lives in Nashville. He's played at the Grand Ole Opry. He plays
That's
fiddle.
awesome.
Yeah, and he was playing with Dylan Carmichael and got to play with those guys at Third and Lindsley. And I played all over Broadway and played all over Nashville. I think there's better places to play personally, but
Yeah.
I play all over the country. But yeah, the Navy. I got to go to. I'm a shellback across the equator, and I'm a blue nose across the Arctic Circle, and saw a lot of stuff. It's definitely an experience for a young man to live on an aircraft carrier.
It probably didn't hurt your songwriting career. You probably had some stories to tell.
Oh yeah, I met some people too that were really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you start playing music? Like, when was that a thing for you?
Well, I grew up listening to Hank Williams Sr.,
Okay.
and then I found Jim Croce, and man, I wanted so bad to play like that, and so I was 13. My mom ordered me a guitar in the Sears catalog, so
Nice.
nobody showed me anything. I struggled with that thing for years and beat and
Yeah.
banged, and finally, over time, I learned things. I got in the Navy, met a lot of talented people in the Navy. Learned a lot, and it enhanced my writing. But I got out. I got signed to a contract. And I got out of the Navy in '82. In 1990, around 90, I signed a contract with an independent label, Sunlight Music, here in Owensboro, and put out my first professional recording in 1993. It's a cassette.
Nice. You still have it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I do. Yeah, they sold it at Waxworks, and
The whole Waxworks. I remember
Yeah.
that place too.
yeah, yeah. I've got music on all the electronic platforms out there, and I have.
I think they call it streaming services now.
Streaming services.
There we go. I'll help
There
you
go.
out.
Thank you. I need it. Yeah, I've got over 150 songs registered with BMI.
That's amazing.
I have a publishing contract right now with Cool Fever Records out of Oxford, Mississippi, and the guy that owns it and runs it, Tim Ledford, he and I write together,
Okay.
and Tim's great songwriter. I don't know if you've ever heard of Billy Don Burns.
I don't know.
Billy, he's actually a legend. He's written songs for everybody.
Really?
Yeah, he hangs out with us some, and he writes. He's written with Tim. I've done a lot of shows with Billy, and
There was a guy that I just watched a documentary on, and he wrote a lot of songs for George Strait. You probably know who it is.
Dean Dillon.
Dean Dillon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was watching his story, and it's an amazing story.
Yeah, this-
Amazing songs.
Absolutely. This guy got a hold of me it's been about a year ago, and trying to scam me, telling me he was Dean Dillon and he wanted to sign me to his label and all this. And I went through all this with him. I texted him. I said, look, man, Dean Dillon is one of the greatest songwriters that ever lived. And you need to learn rudimentary English if you're going to, promote this scam on somebody.
Yeah.
Dean Dillon's not going to be calling me saying, we're going to pay you $94,000, but we need you to pay us $1,000 first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of that out there.
Yeah, I know it is. It's crazy, man. But, well, let's take a break right there. We're going to come back and learn a little bit more. You're listening to the Forgiven Soldier Radio Show on 90.3 WKWC.
Well, I bet you don't remember the day I thought I died, when you told me you were leaving and I kissed my heart goodbye. Well, you couldn't help but notice how it tore me up inside, and I bet you thought you saw a cowboy cry. All the time we spent together just flashed across my mind, and it seemed like an eternity before I could reply. And the tears welled up inside me as we stood there eye to eye. And I bet you thought you saw a cowboy cry. Yeah, the only time cowboys cry is when their horses die. And I bet you thought you saw a cowboy cry. Could have floored me with a feather, and I know that I turned pale. Oh, the thought of losing you was worse than 50 kinds of hell. And as you rode off in the sunset, hey, some dust got in my eyes, and I bet you thought you saw a cowboy cry. Yeah, the only time cowboys cry is when their horses die. And I bet you thought you saw a cowboy cry. Yeah, the only time cowboys cry is when their horses die. And I bet you thought you saw a cowboy cry. Happy trails.
John 15:13 says, "Greater love has no one than this, that he laid down his life for his friends." Thank you for listening to the Forgiven Soldier radio show.
Looking back at the years I've spent with you, I'll have to laugh until I cry. All the miles, all the scars and all the pain and all the smiles that we've been through. You say I'm still the one you love, and I am still in love with you. Just yesterday, you asked me if I still feel the same old way. You know I do. After all, who else will ever catch me when I fall? No one but you. You say I'm still the one you love, and I am still in love with you. I look around at the children and the family we found. I smile within. There is no doubt to love someone else is the greatest thing in this life. Oh, you will ever do. You say I'm still the one you love, and I am still in love with you. I am still in love with you.
All right, welcome back into the Forgiven Soldier Radio Show. I'm your host, Brian, and I got Robbie in here. If you missed the first segment, make sure you download the podcast and go catch it. But yeah, we're just getting to know each other like we were talking about. I've heard of you. I've seen you. Probably even talked to you at the VFW during Sergeant Cable's memorial, and heard the song that you and Andy wrote for him. Amazing song, by the way. But yeah, so I didn't know anything about you. So once we got connected, I was like, yeah, I got to have him on here. So,
Cool.
So you've been playing music, say 50 years?
Yeah.
About 50 years. Wrote some songs and played with different people. Like who is the one person that you've either played with or wrote with that kind of made you realize like, okay, like I'm in it?
Well, I actually I studied with Greg Moore. Mm-hmm. When I was 30 years old, I met Greg. He lived in Newburgh, Indiana. He you can read his obituary, and he graduated from North High School, went to work for Frank Sinatra. He played with Frank Sinatra and Louis Prima and the Diamonds, and I studied with this guy, and he was hardcore. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I learned a lot of stuff from Greg. And also Diane Petty, she was the vice president of CSAC in Nashville, and she taught me how to write. I would take my stuff to her, and she'd slap me around.
Yeah,
and tell
yeah.
me, you know,
Red Market.
you
Yeah.
change this, and your verbs shouldn't be here. You know,
Yeah.
this kind of thing, and it's a process. You know, writing and learning to write. But when I met Greg, that was big. And also when I got invited to the last Honky Tonk Music Series, that was a big thing. That was validation.
Yeah.
Because those people were great. Everybody in that series is outstanding. And like I said, it was validation for me, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of years of hard work.
And I know as a musician and you know, everybody has a reason why they do it, right? And like I know my reason of why I do it. You have your reasons, but you still, like you said, that you look for that validation. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing it for the right reasons? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing what God wants me to do? Right? And once you get that validation, man, it's an amazing feeling.
You're absolutely right, Brian. I have the opportunity to help people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say too much. I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I'm involved with a few groups.
Yeah.
And we help, especially veterans.
Yeah. It's music to my ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every November, I do a show with some people that I was in the last Honky Tonk Music Series with, and we raise money for veterans. Mm. And like you and I were talking about earlier, on Veterans Day this past November, what they do is they get 5 wounded veterans. These people are wounded. Mm-hmm. And
either mentally, physically.
Yeah, they're bad. They're usually in rough shape. Yeah. But we played a show, and Don Vitipple, he's the retired lieutenant colonel, and he runs this show that raises money for veterans, and he gave those veterans $10,500 apiece.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, there was 5 of them, and man, it's all there's always tears, and
Yeah,
it's
I just got
great.
goosies you saying it.
Yeah,
bud.
they
Like,
didn't. They had no idea that was coming.
Yeah,
And Don gave him $500 at first, and he said, we want to give you $500.
yeah,
And
and they're probably tickled pink for that.
oh, they were.
Yeah.
And Don started crying. And this guy, I've never seen him. He's hard, you know. He's a veteran. He's hardcore. And you could barely get it. He barely got it out. We're also giving you an additional $10,000.
Oh man, come on,
Yeah.
come on now.
That was great.
Yeah, that'd be an amazing event to like be at, to see,
Yeah.
Just
It's every year, brother.
yeah, the feeling you get to help somebody, kind of, how do I explain it? Like, we all struggle with something. Nobody's perfect. We all struggle with something. So to be able to do that and be a part of that, it kind of heals you in some way.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Makes
That
you
you
feel
wouldn't even
good.
think that it heals you. And that's the best therapy, man, is giving back. One of the best therapies is giving back. And kudos to you and everybody on that
Oh, thank you.
on that team, and
They're all
just
good
be willing
people.
to do it. So
Yeah, they're all good people and go out of their way to do this at any opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's all for the veterans, and it's you and I are veterans.
mhm.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like seeing a good surprise on somebody's face
Mhm.
in this old negative world we live in.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm also a member of, I mentioned to you, Vet Church. Matt Williams is a retired Army chaplain, and he lives in Valparaiso, Florida. And we do shows as well all over the country. Last year we played at the Eagles Healing Nest in Sauk Center, Minnesota, and veterans live there, and they help them out, help them to heal, counsel them. There's 200 or 300 veterans that live at this place, but we played there for a week. We played in Idaho and Illinois and Florida.
Man, you do some traveling, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes, sometimes I'm gone too much almost,
Yeah.
but I love it. It keeps me going.
Yeah.
At this age, I mean, I'll be 64 years old in April, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I got a song that's titled, the song. It's what it's about. I'm still here. I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm actually continuing to work hard and get better.
Man, once you stop, man, the music stops.
That's it.
Right. So
I can't.
that's one thing. I'm getting older. I'll be 43. So now I know, like, if I take a couple of days off and I just chill and relax, and my wife says I'm lazy. When on my off days I'm just lazy. I'm like, yeah, well, that's the point, right? And but I can feel it. I can feel it. Like, man, I shouldn't have done that, because you got to keep on moving, kind of thing. So you have your guitar.
Yeah.
So this is the question that I ask, all the musicians that come on the show, because you're a songwriter, you have some songs out on the streaming services. If you had the choice to sell out Bridgestone Arena or have a number one song that somebody else is singing, what would you choose?
I'd have someone else singing a number one song that I wrote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too, man. I'm even when I was younger, like I like to entertain, and I like to, people to like it, but I don't know if I could do Bridgestone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I could do it, but the thing is, something that kind of I feel a lot is sometimes people think you're more than you are when you play music, and I equate it to like a good carpenter or whatever you're good at.
yeah,
Music is my thing. People will say, "Oh, you have this talent," and I'm like, "Well, you have talents that I don't have."
Yeah, everybody has talent.
That's right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. So
Well, play us out into a commercial, and we'll come back and hear some more.
play that song. Play this one. It's called "I'm Still Here." Had my chances to run, but I stand my ground, and I'll be here when it all goes down. I've accepted the man I am, and I face my fears, and I'm still here. And I've earned my scars, some against my will, standing in these lights with my guitar still, and the whining of the road rings in my ears. And I'm still here. Well, I ran into the night. It was darker than dark, and I walked in the sunshine with a full and happy heart. And I've had more than my share of smiles and tears, and I'm still here. And I've earned my scars, some against my will, standing in these lights with my guitar still, and the whining of the road rings in my ears, and I'm still here. With blood on my strings, sweat on my brow, finish the show anyhow, and pack up all my gear, and I'm still here. My life is a song playing out right here. It talks about my joy and my pain. It's covered with age, stained by sweat and tears, and I'm still here. And I've earned my scars, some against my will, standing in these lights with my guitar still, and the whining of the road rings in my ears, and I'm still here. Yeah, the whining of the road rings in my ears, and I'm still here.
The Forgiven Soldier Radio Show. Christ offers forgiveness for everyone, everywhere.
I've been beat down by the blows of life, but I don't quit, so I'm standing here again. Got scars and marks and bruises and broken bones where I just refuse to be. And I'll bear my scars and not be ashamed from where they came or where the hell I've been. Like a desert fire renews the grass, hope my heart can learn to live again. And all the slings and arrows, changing faces that I've been, strong in all the broken places, but I'm always on the mend. Stood facing the bitter wind. I walked through the pain of hills too steep to climb. The truth in life I found to be the price I paid to finally see man I came to be in my mind. And all the slings and arrows, changing faces that I've been, strong in all the broken places, but I'm always on the mend. Strong in all the broken places, but I'm always on the mend. Genuine American, so the red, white, and blue. I've got everything to gain, and I've got everything to lose, and I'd give it all for you. Today I am a soldier, tomorrow will be the same, and I'll fight beside my brothers, and that won't ever change. But through the blood, sweat, and tears, learn to be a man. Only thing beneath my boots is this damned Afghanistan. I'm a genuine American. I serve the red, white, and blue. I've got everything to gain, and I've got everything to lose, and I'd give it all for you. Back at base camp, eating our MREs. How my buddies like to give me a hard time about wearing my pockets green. I don't care, it takes me right back to a better time. They know that I got their back, and I know they got mine. Every single time, yeah, every single time. I'm a genuine American. I serve the red, white, and blue. I've got everything to gain, and I've got everything to lose, and I'd give it all for you. I'd give it all for you. I gave it all for you.
Nehemiah 8:10. The joy of the Lord is my strength. This is the Forgiven Soldier radio show.
All right, welcome back into the Forgiven Soldier radio show. We have Robbie Holder here. Great stories. If you missed the first two segments, that's on you guys. Make sure you download the podcast version, man, because it's awesome, man. I'd love having you here, and we're not done yet, but I just enjoy you being here, and just I haven't had too many veterans on. So you're one of the, I'm trying to think, I don't want to make anybody mad, but I think you're one of the first veterans that I'd had on that is also a musician,
Cool.
So, yeah. And that's kind of, I don't consider myself a musician. Maybe I should, I don't know, but I've been playing guitar since I was in Iraq in 2003. That's when I got my first guitar. And my mom sent it to me. And like you said, I just beat on that thing for years because nobody, people show me some chords and stuff, and I just slang on it. They probably got really tired of hearing G, C, and D, because that's all I ever played was G, C, and D, and try to make a rhythm and stuff. And when I first met my wife, I told her I played guitar, but I didn't. Right, I just had those 3 chords, and I would play music for her, and she acted like she liked it. Then once we get married, it switched. It's like, can you go play that in the other room, please? Like, we quit playing that thing. And so I started taking this serious probably about 10 years ago, I would say, probably 8 years ago, and actually learning new chords and learning about the guitar and music and stuff. And then I went to school for music production, which they had music theory in there. So that class kind of changed my whole perspective of it, and got me really knowing about music. But I still, like, anytime anybody pulls out a guitar and they're like halfway decent, I'm like, I don't need to pull mine out. Like, I'm good, but I know I need to get over it. Anyways, with that being said, I don't even know where I was going with that.
Yeah, just play your guitar when you feel like it, man.
Yeah, well, so I struggle with anxiety really bad, and the guitar and my wife is what saved my life, just from not going into a deep place and just losing it. Because with the anxiety, my mind would race so much, and I didn't know what was going on. And I've told this story. I wasn't suicidal, but I remember laying on the couch and like, God, if you're taking me, take me, because I am done. And with the help of my wife forcing me to go talk to somebody, that's what kind of set me on a path to kind of deal with it and live with it and find coping mechanisms. And I've tried different ways, and some ways failed, some ways that's not helping at all. But the one thing I always wanted to do was I wanted to do it natural as possible, without medicine, without pills. And like I was telling you, there's been some times it's like, okay, maybe you need to give me a pill, because my mind is just racing. But
I feel you.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's different for everybody. But the reason I'm saying that is because music helped me with that. That was my therapy. And I know I had a lady reach out and said, well, it's not really therapy unless you have a clinical therapist. Like, you need to get out with that stuff, because it was therapy to me, and it helped me.
Therapy, brother.
So I didn't need to go to school for that.
Right.
That, box of wood with strings on it saved my life. And it continues to do that.
Straight from the Lord.
Yeah. It's just, it saved my life. So I don't need some doctor telling me otherwise. And I think that's how it is, man. You just got to find what puts you at peace, and a good peace, right?
Absolutely.
Not going to alcohol, not going to drugs, and because that's not peaceful.
No.
Because you wake another demon inside you, and I mean, what's your thoughts on it? What do you?
Well, I'm like yourself. I suffer with anxiety due to my 3 deployments in the military, and I don't talk about it too much. I witnessed some things I wish I hadn't. I was involved in some things I wish I hadn't been, and none of it I could help. I was just happened to be where you know how it is. You happen to be in the right place at the wrong time or whatever. But,
yeah.
It was kind of therapeutic for me. I went back on the ship here a few months ago on a tour, and I actually took a picture of a spot that changed my life on the forward elevator of that ship, Dwight D. Eisenhower. But I'm like you. I try to deal with the positive aspects of each day. Yeah. And I wake up every day and I say, this is going to be a good day.
Great day.
This is going to be a good day.
Yeah.
Whether it is or not, we'll find out. But,
yeah. You start your day off right. Yeah. And that's one thing, I do, and I struggle with it, man. like anxiety comes in different ways. Like once you think you got it figured out, it's like, yeah, I got this way too. And one of the things I love to do is play music. I love to worship. I love to worship. Like I used to wake up and be like, how I get to worship today, you know, and that's for Jesus. And anxiety started setting in, and I couldn't get on, you know, when I get on stage, I would feel like I was going to pass out and my knees get wobbly. And I've never been afraid to talk to anybody, never been afraid to sing in front of anybody. And for the last 3 months, maybe more, maybe longer, it's been like that. I wake up on Sunday and I try to find ways out of it. Right. And that's not good, man. And I remember I talked to my pastor, and he was, other than my wife, he was the first one I told that I had this going on, because I kept it to myself because I was embarrassed or I didn't want to let people down and try. And you said it earlier, like, you know, you're a veteran, you got to be strong, and sometimes you can't be, right? Sometimes,
absolutely. Sometimes
you can't be. And talk with him and told me some stories and stuff. But one thing that kind of stuck out is I'm singing this for Jesus. It's not about me. And it, you know, and I never went into it thinking that, but you kind of lose track of it. And it doesn't matter if you're struggling or not, right? You got to, if you have a talent, you have to use it, you know, and that's what they say. And I'm working through it. But it's a struggle, and I found myself, like, I was always in the front, right, playing guitar, singing, and I moved myself to the back, sat on a stool, and just setting up different stuff in case it happened, right? In case it happened. I've never passed out in my life, Robbie, and I'm worried about passing out. Like, how am I worried about something I've never even been through? Wow. And that's where anxiety comes in. But so this Sunday, I stood up front with my guitar and overcame it, and that, you know, it was unsettling, but I just kept on in my mind and said, not today. Today's going to be a good day.
That's right.
Today's going to be a good day.
And you know, I think Satan, I think that's his game, trying to make us doubt and feel like the anxiety, we can't explain that.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't have it, they don't know.
Yeah.
And it sounds contrite, or not contrite, but uncontrite. It sounds
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like, no, nothing's wrong with you. You don't know what's in someone's mind.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, I don't like to say something like this on the radio, but if you see a torso and that's all that's there, you'll never get that out of your mind.
Nope.
You know, you're living with that. You're taking that.
That's something you can't overcome. Something you can't put reason behind. You know what I mean? And so the best way, I think, is just to accept it, that I saw it, and kind of move on from it and grow from it, you know, and hopefully
from the Lord.
Yes, because He knows, and like what He went through for us is way worse than anything we'll ever go through.
And He knows everything in your heart, man. He knows what your struggle is, brother.
Man,
He's there for us.
See, this is the reason why I started this podcast. It was for selfish reasons, and it was for me to be vulnerable and me to get stuff off my chest, because the best way with anxiety is to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And it was to meet new people. And I said it, very first episode, I was like, I'm doing this for selfish reasons. It's not to get paid. I don't get paid a dime for this. And I want to be vulnerable and be able to be comfortable with talking about hard stuff that I'm going through, that other people are going through. And in that path, you get to meet some amazing people. And Robbie, you are one of those amazing people.
Thank you, Ron.
And we're just touching the surface of this. This is probably the end of the radio part. We're gonna move this over to the podcast, because I feel like there's a lot that we need to cover still. But you want to play us out with a song?
Sure.
This has been Robbie Holder on the Forgiven Soldier Radio Show.
I wrote this song when I got out of the Navy. It's called The Price. Ho Chi Minh to Gatlinburg, a lot of brave men have died. In mostly wars they did not want, but they could not run and hide. From Bunker Hill to Perryville and places you don't even know. From the frozen hands at Valley Forge to the chosen reservoir. From the Germans to the Red Chinese, from the English to the Viet Cong. From the Apache arrow to the samurai sword, and we fought each one down. And if anyone should ever ask, what price have we paid? There's a piece of ground in your hometown where the price is laid. From Quezon to Lebanon, from Iraq to Iran, from sinking ships to direct hits, and they died for this land. And if anyone should ever ask, what price have we paid? There's a piece of ground in your hometown where the price is laid. And if you should have to ask yourself, what price have we paid? There's a piece of ground in your hometown where the price is laid.
You've been listening to My Dad on the Forgiven Soldier Radio Show. The Forgiven Soldier Radio Show is a broadcast service of Veterans Empowered Together and 90.3 WKWC.